our last file that we need to test, which is going to be our auth controller. All right. So let's get started. I'm going to close out these. All right, and then let's go ahead and first I'm going to just kind of run the test because we already have a test here and see what issues we have, and that will help us know what we need to do. All right, so you can see that we have a few issues. JWT service for the auth guard, okay, is not working. Is a dependency that we haven't figured out. And then you can also see that we're adding the auth service here. So we need to kind of figure out both of those. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to mock the auth guard. So to do that, I'm going to first look at kind of what the auth guard is doing. And you can see that we have a can activate here. That's going to be basically returning true or false. All right, so let's mock that by saying const mock auth guard is equal to, and then we are going to say can activate jest.fn, nope, and then we will return true. So that's going to be our mock auth guard here, okay? So the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to then use our mock auth guard instead. So we are going to say override guard, and then we put in the guard that we want to override. That's going to be the auth guard. And then we want to use, when we override the guard, we want to use the value mock auth guard. All right. So now let's run the test and see how we're doing. All right, we still failed one. Let's take a look. And you can see we're not seeing anything about the auth guard anymore. Now we're seeing auth service, which makes sense because that is also part of the constructor. Okay, so we need to define that. So we're going to say let service equal auth service. So we are going to mock it, but instead of, we have a lot of methods and I don't want to write them all out. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the deep mock that we used in our service spec file. Okay, so you can see here that we are defining the service and then it's going to be deep mocked. Okay, so here we can write, let's do the same thing. I'm going to just copy this and do that here. But instead of user service, it's going to be auth service. So we're going to mock that, okay? So then I'm going to take this here, and it looks like we need to put it in a providers array. So I'm going to add a providers array, all right? And then within it, I'm going to say provide auth service. And then we're going to create mock. Let's import that. And we're going to create it based on the auth service. All right, so then if you look down here, we also have to add these statements here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this one. And we will say service is equal to module.get auth service. Okay, so this is here, just mad that we're not using it. All right, so now let's go ahead and rerun the test. And we didn't find deep mocked because we have to import it. Let's try it again. All right, auth service is not assignable to deep mocked auth service. All right, let's just try doing it with just auth service here. And see what happens. All right, so that looks good so far. All right, let's start by making a test. So let's start with sign up. Okay, so we're gonna do it sign up, and then it should should add a user to the database and return that user object. At least that's what I think it does. We'll have to kind of trace the function a little bit to verify. All right, so we're first going to, let's go take a look. All right, we're kind of done with the auth guard here. Let's go look at sign up. All right, so we are, oh, we're returning our access token, yes, and we should return an access token. Glad we went and looked because we were going to get that wrong. Okay, so let's do our inputs and outputs then. So our input is going to be const sign up DTO, and let's look at what that is going to be. We're going up here to our sign up DTO, name, email, username, password. Okay, so it's going to be an object. We have name, say Callie Stosecup, email, Callie Stosecup at gmail.com, username, C Stosecup, and password. Let's just do like fake password. All right, so now we have our sign up DTO, and then I'm going to say as sign up DTO. All right, now when we don't really care about what's going on within this method because we already tested it, but we know that a token should come back. So we're going to say const fake token, and then it's just going to be a string where we'll say fake token. Okay? So now we need to mock that, right? So we're going to say service dot sign up dot mock resolved. So now it's feeling like this is the issue without doing the deep mock here. All right, so let's try that again then. Deep mocked. All right, so now that will let me do it, but let's go ahead and see what's going on. So we're going to do deep mock of a fake token. Does this need a colon? It's fine. Okay, that's the only thing that we're to call, and then we're going to now actually run it. So we're going to say const result is equal to be await controller dot sign up, and then we will pass in the sign up DTO. And then we expect that our result is going to equal fake token. All right. Why is it mad? All right, that's why. All right, let's run it and hope it's not too mad at us. All right. Auth service is not assignable to deep mock auth service. Let's see. All right, so maybe we're just supposed to do it like this. This is saying it's the type, and it's actually going to be deep mocked. Let's try that again. We're learning as we're doing this. All right, so yeah, so the issue was we were saying that the type was going to be auth service, and really the type is deep mocked auth service. Okay, cool. So that works as intended. So then now we can add our other expect statements. So we expect that service dot sign up. We expect that to have been called. And we expect service.sign up, excuse me, to be called with the sign up DTO. All right, let's go ahead and run this. Perfect. All right, and that is our sign up. All right, let's move on to our login. All right, so it. And then I think this should actually be pretty similar. So let's look at login, and yes, we're returning a token. All right, so it log in should verify a user exists and their password is correct and return an access token. Async. All right, I'm gonna expand this. So, and I'm gonna steal this. So we don't need a sign up DTO here, we need a login DTO. And that is gonna be of type login DTO. And then that should just be username and password. All right, then we have a fake token. So then we need to mock service.login.mock the resolved value, and that should be fake token. All right, then we can go ahead and call everything. So let's go ahead and copy this. So the first thing we do is we're saying the result is equal to controller.login, and we're going to pass in the login DTO. We're expecting that the result is going to be the fake token, and we expect that service login's been called, and service login's been called with the login DTO. So now we can save and we can rerun the test. And woohoo, it passes. All right, so that is login. All right. Let's do another one. It change account detail. So change account detail, let's see what it does. All right, looks up the user, it changes the account detail, and it returns the name, email, and username. Okay, so should change an account detail and return the updated user name, email, and username. All right, so let's take a look. So we're going to do our input first. So const account detail DTO is going to be equal to, and then let's take a look at the account detail DTO. So we're going to have a username, which is going to be CStosCup. We have a field, which is going to be, let's say, name, and we have a value, which is going to be Callie. We'll just do Callie, okay? Then that is going to be as account detail DTO. Now, when we return from this function, we expect to be returning an object. So we're going to say const updated user, which is going to then have name, Callie, email, calliestoscup@gmail.com, and value, nope, and username, which is going to be CStosCup. All right, so that's what needs to come back, okay? So now if we look at here, in order to get this back, we need to mock that service function. So we're going to say service.changeAccountDetail.mock the resolved value, and we want updated user to come back. So now we can say const result is going to be equal to await change account, nope, await controller dot change account detail, and then we'll pass in the account detail DTO. And then we expect that our result is going to equal the updated user. Right, and then I think that added an import. Okay, and then we also expect that service dot change account detail. We expect it to have been called, and we expect service dot change account detail to have been called with the account detail DTO. All right, let's run this test. Perfect. All right, let's do one more before we call it. I think I already said that we were just doing one more, but all right, we'll call it then. All right, so we have the first three functions tested, and we will move on to profile, get profile data in the next video.